So I think, first of all, it's really an exciting time. I'm seeing so many talents coming back to the workforce, and especially women talents. And when you talk about product, you have to realize that I think most, if not at least more than 50%, in most apps or software products, the customers are women. Definitely that's the case back when I was in Gojek as well. And the fact is that even if they're not primarily the main consumer in the decision making, women, or let's say our merchants' wives, suppliers' wives, play such a huge role. It's very often that I see their wives or their daughters becoming COOs of their stores. It's very interesting. So I think first I would like to just say that and basically encourage more women to really come back to the workforce.
So when this opportunity came, I actually looked up and I read about Corro and what we're trying to do here. It just spoke to me. And I said, wow, okay, if only Corro was there when I was changing those 10 cars, I wouldn't be as frustrated as a customer as I was back in the days. So yeah, that is really the absolutely true story of why I joined Corro. One is the experience I had with the tech startup in Tokyo Marine towards my last couple of months there. And second is really my genuine love for cars since I was a teenager.
Why property? I mean, it started from my own pain point. I used to live in a boarding room, eventually managed to save money to buy my first property. And every year has been buying one property. Now I have 10 properties in total, big and small, from like $5,000 piece of land to a few $100,000 landed house. And my dream is for all Indonesians to own a home, and the vision is to make property more accessible for better livelihood and financial inclusion. The vehicle is in-home.
On the roles for myself as product and marketing, I think it also came very natural to me because I love connecting with people. And so I'm really motivated by product and marketing roles because product is all about understanding your users and marketing is about, communicating and talking to them. So both kind of require you to speak to people a lot and have a lot of empathy towards them. Another thing that fascinates me about product and marketing is that I like to have original thinking and I don't like rules. And both product and marketing are areas where you can be innovative, that are already fast moving. And so there are no rules on how things are supposed to be done there.
I was in the UK for a long time and I looked how the UK was growing versus how Southeast Asia was growing. And I absolutely loved the trajectory of Southeast Asia, and Vietnam at that time was growing very fast. And I decided to return to Southeast Asia to find a big opportunity to work on. And so I went into the heavy industries, which is the manufacturing plants that my family business owns. And we own 10 trucks. And upon seeing that all the 10 trucks were returning empty all the time, that was the moment of realization that the market is huge, yet it's so fragmented. And the trucks, over 70% of truck returns are empty. And it was the defining moment for me. And I wanted to start LOGIVAN to consolidate the fragmented trucking market in Vietnam, and to make sure that the matching efficiencies get better and 100% of trucks are running full load and not returning empty anymore. So that is how I started LOGIVAN slightly over 2 years ago.
I was born and grew up most of my life here in Indonesia. So I think Sayurbox came to play after I initially started a farm. So I was planting a lot of vegetables to supply to high-end restaurants. Before this, I was actually working in distribution. And the reason I started going into agriculture was because of my uncle, who was actually a university professor in agriculture. I started the farm and lived there for about a year. So that's how I got to know how inefficient the distribution of fresh supply chain is. So farms are super fragmented here in Indonesia. Farmers don't know where to sell their produce. They don't have the logistics access, and they end up not being able to sell 30% of their harvest. So there's no price, demand transparency, and a lot of middlemen in the supply chain. So there's a lot of food waste, which, this is something I feel very strongly about. So that's when I met my co-founder, Rama, and he was at that time involved in Gojek. So he suggested, let's do Sayurbox, which ultimately aims to aggregate demand and distribute fresh produce directly from farms to end consumers.